Thank you, Ian, and Happy New Year to everyone who's listening for the start of this game. It is cold here at the DW Stadium, so cold it took me a little while to get the button pressed on my stopwatch. But the game is underway. Manchester United in possession. Manchester United beginning 2013 in pole position in the Premier League. They are bringing a 7-point lead over Manchester City into this new year. And it is Manchester United who are playing from right to left here in the first half. Red shirts, white shorts, black socks against Wigan in the mainly blue kit with the white trim, the white stripes on the front of their shirts. And Wigan now in possession, playing the ball away from the back up towards Beau Séjour. And then the clearance is completed towards the halfway line. Wigan, let me tell you, the teams, Wigan making one change as Kone is fouled on the halfway line, free kick to the home side. Jones, former Manchester United youngster, is left out. McArthur comes in for him. So Al-Habsi, Ramis, Caldwell, Figueroa, Boyce, McCarthy, MacArthur and Beau Séjour, Maloney, Kone and De Santo is the Wigan side. And Manchester United, 5 changes for them. De Gea in goal, Raphael returns at right back, Ferdinand, Evans and Evra, Carrick and Cleverley, Young, Giggs, Van Persie and Hernandez. So we're in the second minute of this match. This is the third consecutive time, incidentally, that Manchester United and Manchester City have been playing at exactly the same time. We'll keep you posted on the City game against Stoke. In all, 5 Premier League matches have just kicked off at 3 o'clock. United coming forward up towards Hernandez, who is in an offside position. So we'll hear for the first time since the start of the game today from Pat Nevin, who's sitting alongside me here, the former Scotland international.
It's very intriguing the way the two teams have been set up. Obviously, you get used to what Robert Martinez does. It's a 3-4-3, and before we go any further,
yeah, straight to West Ham, John Southall.
And we have a very early penalty. It's gone to West Ham, and Mark Noble is the man who's going to take it. It was for pulling by Bennett, Ryan Bennett, who's been brought into the side this afternoon on Winston Reid. And now Mark Noble, in front of the away supporters, will try and score his 4th goal of the season for West Ham, and he has, emphatically, and it's West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
And it has now finished at Vicarage Road. Watford 3, Charlton 4. And the other 2 full-time scores in League 2, Bristol Rovers beat Plymouth by 2-1. And the other match finished Southend 0, Gillingham 1. So Gillingham are back to the top of the table above Port Vale for the time being at least. It is still Swindon 0, Portsmouth 0 in the 2 o'clock kickoff in League 1. So Wigan Athletic 0, Manchester United 0. BBC 5 Live watching Wigan come forward from left to right. Pat's got a point to make about that in a moment. But De Santo loses possession and Manchester United look to bring it away. Here is Young, whose pass is nowhere near Hernandez. So here's Pat.
Yeah, it's quite the way Manchester United have lined up is 4-4-1-1, and Van Persie seems to be dropping just into the deep number 10 area where he's just picked up the ball.
Playing the ball over the top, Van Persie towards Hernandez, right side of the box, shoots from a very narrow angle. Straight at Al-Habsi, who's able to hold it quite easily.
Problem you've got Wigan in this situation, they've got the 3 centre-backs, but Manchester United have got 2 wide players out there. Giggs is old-fashioned left winger at the moment, obviously Ashley Young over the other side, but if you've not got 2 obvious right left back and a left full back for the opposition, that's an area where Manchester United will try to get into and cause problems.
Yes, I did wonder what Sir Alex and his team might have been playing it against Wigan with their very unusual, really, in terms of the current Premier League formation.
Exactly. I suppose the go-to system of late has been 4-2-3-1 for most teams, and United have used that themselves as well. But United are quite fluid in this. But just to see how often they can get the ball to the wide players.
There's another early goal in the Premier League. It's at White Hart Lane, Jonathan Overhead.
Reading take the lead at Spurs. Pavel Pogrebniak with a follow-up header after Ian Hart's left-footed free kick had crashed against the crossbar. He was driving in free kicks from 20 yards a decade ago or more for Leeds, wasn't he? He can still fire them. It beat Lloris, smacked against the bar, came back, and Pogrebniak was first to it. Spurs 0, Reading 1.
Well, signs of life for Reading after their victory against West Ham on Saturday. Manchester United coming forward. Raphael galloping down the right wing, gives it infield to Young, who's caught in possession, dispossessed, and Wigan will pass it away towards Maloney, who we were talking about just before the start of the game. Maloney with an angled pass out to De Santo, who timed his run well and stayed onside. It's taken him out to the left-hand side. De Santo's cross into the penalty area looking for Maloney, but the delivery wasn't good enough from De Santo. Straight at Evans, who was able to clear. Ball still in play though. Beau Séjour. Now here's MacArthur. With the ball forward towards Kone, who might have got a shove in the back from Ferdinand, but referee Andre Mariner says no, and Manchester United have it back.
Kone needs to be much stronger than that. He is a strong player, but certainly took his eye off the ball there far too easily. Interesting to see De Santo, very different player, just physically these days. You know, he really has fell down now, and you know, he's played better this season when he's had the opportunities, but just looking at him now, you know, he could be the point man at centre forward.
Yeah, mind you, De Santo hasn't scored a goal for 3 months.
Plays well though. He's a good technical player, isn't he?
Yes,
a very good technical player.
One of those strikers.
Yes, exactly.
That managers like, who don't necessarily score goals.
Strange enough, that sounds exactly like a Robbie Martinez centre forward.
Ball over the top for Kone, who's adjudged to have shoved Ferdinand, so it's a free kick to United. Torquay 0, AFC Wimbledon 1. The bottom club of the 92 at the moment, AFC Wimbledon winning 1-0 away at Torquay. And a little early sighter for us of Sir Alex in the coaching area. Roberto Martinez is right out there on the edge of it, but Sir Alex just, you know, the body language suggests a little concern as the ball's played forward for United for Hernandez, but it bounces over his head and Caldwell.
Well, what he's worried about is a total change in the system that's happened up front for Wigan just now. They've actually got two up front now with De Santo and Kone playing together, so that is an adaptation. Quite often happens after 5 or 6 minutes. Teams set out what you expect their system to be, and then they've got it planned to change, and I think that's what's happened just now. So Sir Alec is concerned by that.
So we are calling Wigan just at the moment 3-4-1-2.
Yes,
with Maloney in the middle behind Kone and De Santo. This, I'm told, will be the last game that Kone plays before he goes to the Africa Cup of Nations, and he will be missed as well. He's done well, Kone.
Again, almost the opposite of De Santo. Definitely not as good a technical player. He tends to score a few goals. He also misses a lot of chances, but when he gets the ball, and I've noticed a few times this season, you know, when passes have been on, you know, it's a 30% chance he'll score, and a 70% chance if his mate scores, he'll still take the chance himself.
Well, he has scored in his last couple of games, Kone, against Everton and against Aston Villa, the win at Villa Park on Saturday. Before that, Wigan had taken just 1 point from the last 18 available. Whereas Manchester United's form coming into this today, they have won 7 and drawn 1 of their last 8 league games. That is strong mid-season form by anyone's standards. It's Wigan 0, Manchester United 0. This is BBC 5 Live as the ball is worked towards the right-hand side to Boyce, who plays it forward via a deflection towards Kone. Evans is in with a challenge and it's out of play for a throw into Wigan 10 yards back from the corner flag. We're going to go around all of our featured matches in a moment, but Wigan coming forward. Let me tell you as well, it's Crawley 1, Colchester 0, and Leicester are 1-0 up on Huddersfield in the Championship. Chris Wood, the scorer of that one. In fact, we're heading to Andy Gillis straight away because there's a goal in the Swansea-Aston Villa game.
8 minutes gone, Swansea 1, Aston Villa 0. It's been coming. Wayne Routledge with the chance, the ball played through, past the Villa defence, it was nowhere. Routledge 1-on-1 with Guzan. It had already happened that way in the game earlier on, and Guzan had made a brilliant save, but this time Routledge finished superbly. Swansea 1, Villa 0.
Right, so make that 0-16 now in Aston Villa's last 4 games. And also Notts County 0, MK Dons 1. We will go around the grounds in a moment, but Wigan still coming forward. Boyce, the right wing back in this system, with a throw-in towards Kone. The ball bounces for him and he plays it back towards McCarthy, and then MacArthur pokes it to the left-hand side to Beausejour. Beausejour then pulls it back towards the halfway line, and Wigan looking to build again. So let's start off round the grounds then and head first of all to Manchester City against Stoke. And here's Ian Dennis.
Manchester City 0, Stoke City 0, but Sergio Aguero is looking particularly sharp. Within the first 70 seconds he had a shot beaten away at the near post by Begovic, and then just moments ago Barry floated a ball forward just inside the area. Aguero took it down off his chest and swept the ball over the crossbar, but he's looking sharp. Manchester City 0, Stoke 0.
Wigan coming forward, Kone with a touch in the box, but that plays it straight to Johnny Evans and he clears. there's been another goal in the Tottenham-Reading game, Jonathan Overhead.
Equaliser for Spurs. Michael Dawson, really fine flicked near post header from a Gylfi Sigurdsson left wing corner. Well taken. Little bit of dispute whether the corner should have been awarded in the first place, but it's Spurs 1, Reading 1.
I did have a feeling, Pat, that I should get that little word in about signs of life from Reading as quickly as I could. Torquay have equalised against Wimbledon. It's 1-1. Here's Manchester United with Raphael towards Young on the right-hand side today. Young manages to find a way through into the box and plays it right across the 6-yard box. No one there for a touch. Giggs closes to it, and the ball's still in play in the full-back position.
He got a little bit lucky there, hit off the defender, back onto him. But Young put a great ball across between the centre-backs and the goalkeeper. Nobody going in, and that's very unusual when you've got Hernandez on the pitch.
Wigan 0, Manchester United 0. Back to Swansea, Aston Villa and Andy Gillis.
Still Swansea 1, Villa 0. It could be Swansea 3, Villa 0. Since we last spoke after Rutledge's goal, Michu is at the post and Graham has blasted wide when he should have scored. Villa are all over the place. Swansea 1, Villa 0.
Giggs forward towards Hernandez. Brilliantly takes it down, but the offside flag is up. Puts the ball in the net.
Oh, I don't know, John. So close. So close. You spotted it correctly, then the flag was up. But I'll tell you, that's very, very close. Let's see. We have a look. Yeah, he's got a yard. Well done. Assistant's getting it right.
Yeah, well done to the assistant. And he's been praised highly by the Wigan supporters and the crowd behind him on that opposite side of the ground. So it remains Wigan 0, Manchester United 0. And back to Upton Park again and John Southall.
Where West Ham lead from that early goal against Norwich. The penalty, Ryan Bennett pulling on Winston Reid. He went down, the referee pointed to the spot, and Mark Noble did the rest. West Ham enjoying the lion's share of possession, and they lead 1-0.
In the Empower Championship, it finished Watford 3, Charlton 4 in the first 5 Live Sports Extra commentary match of the day. I'll tell you about the next one in a moment, but we're going to Blackburn first and Juliet Farrington.
Where it's 0-0. Blackburn, though, with their attacking lineup starting brightly, playing the better football. They're trying to make light, of course, of the chaos surrounding the club right now. Ruben Rashina, their best effort at the game so far. Rather unsavoury chance, though, from the home fans. Aimed at the club's global advisor, Chevy Singh, 0-0.
The 5 Live Sports Extra commentary match is at St Andrews, and Pat Murphy's there for 5 Live.
It's 0-0 against Cardiff City, and Birmingham are making the running. They look like the side that's top in the league. Just now, Elliott, lovely piece of work from Morrison, cute layoff. Elliott just wide, left foot, 20 yards. Birmingham 0, Cardiff 0.
Blackpool against inform Hull next, and Steve Wyeth.
Where it's Blackpool 0, Hull 0. Fair to say this is two sides who are just easing themselves into the new year. A bit more endeavour from Blackpool, but Hull are unbeaten in 7. You'll expect them to have their moments. Blackpool 0, Hull 0.
Middlesbrough also in decent form at the moment. They're at Derby, watched by Ian Brown.
Yes, they're third in the table. It's currently Derby 0, Middlesbrough 0, but Derby edging it territorially in the opening 12 minutes or so. A shot from Michael Jacobs from 25 yards was just scruffily off target, and also Coots and Brayford have been combining well down the right-hand side. But it's Derby 0, Borough 0.
Simon Mann's watching the game between the bottom 2 in the Championship.
And it's been a game of the bottom 2 so far. Lots of mistakes. It's 0-0 between Peterborough and Barnsley. Barnsley done okay though, no manager. They've had a lot of the ball, but it's one chance and it's gone to Peterborough. A mistake by Stephen Dawson on the edge of the penalty, slipped and gave the ball away, and Dwight Gale's shot came back off the body of goalkeeper Luke Steele. Dawson got lucky there. Peterborough 0, Barnsley 0.
And hearing Simon, I must say it is a very sad day for us at BBC Radio Sport today. How very well said Simon Mann and Pat Murphy were earlier on Christopher Martin Jenkins, who, if you haven't heard, died this morning. I would say he was simply one of the finest radio sport commentators. Here's Tom Cleverley for Manchester United, down the right for Ashley Young to chase onto it, but the ball will run through for a goal kick. So it remains Wigan Athletic 0, Manchester United 0. And next to our featured match in League 2, which is a big one, Peter Slater.
Certainly is. Third against second, Doncaster Sheffield United. 4,000 Sheffield United fans adding to the crowd, watching Danny Higginbottom making his debut. He's signed for Sheffield United from Stoke. That's not a loan deal. And Doncaster have James Coppinger back from Forest. He's on the bench and he's just seen his goalkeeper Gary Woods tip Tony McMahon's free kick over the bar. 13 minutes played. Doncaster 0, Sheffield United 0.
So Wigan Athletic 0, Manchester United 0 in our commentary match on this New Year's Day on BBC 5 Live. Still Manchester City 0, Stoke 0, Swansea winning 1-0 against Aston Villa, Tottenham 1, Reading 1, and West Ham 1, Norwich 0. And on the subject of signings, Pat Nevin, Wigan Athletic have got a couple on the way, haven't they? From Manchester United, young Angelo Henriquez, who They were hoping they'd be able to introduce him to the crowd today, but it hasn't all quite gone through yet. And similarly, the fullback Roger Espinosa, who's on his way. So at least a couple of arrivals.
It was very noticeable at the start of the game, even though Roberto Martinez is actually the home manager. Sir Alec was actually sitting on his bench ready for the game to start, and Robbie went all the way over and thanked him and made a big fuss of him. So I think he's trying to do everything he can to smooth that through as well. And that's the way it has to be for Wigan. And the results, the financial results come through over the last few days. They were very, very positive, even before the sale of Victor Moses is taken into account. So I think the fans love him here, but I tell you what, the owners like him too.
Yes, and I heard the former Wigan captain, Matt Jackson, who always speaks so well, talking yesterday, and I think he was only slightly joking that perhaps clubs should win points for being so well off financially.
Yeah, well, financial doping always been a big part of the game, and it has been, but to be honest, we talk about it a lot now, but it's always been the case.
Figueroa for Wigan, it's 0-0, and the ball played back into the Wigan half. Ipswich 0, Brighton 1, Dean Hammond for Brighton, and MK Dons now 2-0 up at Notts County. Giggs closed down on the halfway line by MacArthur, who puts it out of play for a throw just down in front of us here.
Take my life in my hands here by saying this, but we've not seen much from Giggs at all. He's hardly kicked the ball, and neither has Robin van Persie, and more often than not, that's a very dangerous thing to say.
Yes, funnily enough, in the build-up last night, I was just looking at the fact that Ryan Giggs has yet to score in the league this season, and he always scores in the league every season as a professional. 22 seasons, this is 23rd, he's scored in the league.
He's looked good creatively anyway, you know, and he's created a few chances for his teammates, but it's also what he does intelligently in a defensive ways. Well, it has been sometimes overlooked, but it isn't generally these days. He's a hugely intelligent footballer.
Ferdinand just playing the ball away from the back. Johnny Evans now in possession, back it goes to Ferdinand. Ferdinand playing today, Vidic back on the bench today. Here comes United with Raphael now running from the halfway line. He's gone a long way and he overhits the cross badly, and it drifts away behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, but Hernandez has thanked him for making the effort, because it was the right ball, it just wasn't played very well, and Hernandez looks lively today. He's been caught offside, got the ball in the net, was offside but only a yard, but his movement so far looks fantastic, and you get the feeling if Van Persie can get that ball in the hole behind the, I was going to say 2 centre-backs, but 3 centre-backs, Hernandez will get opportunities from passes from Van Persie.
In actual fact, not a lot's happened in the game so far. It's still
quite quiet, isn't it?
It has.
Right. We were talking before about the fact that, you know, in the previous game there, you know, they didn't play brilliantly, Manchester United, against West Brom, but they did enough.
Yeah, likewise against Newcastle, when really they didn't play that well in the match, only in fits and starts, and but eventually won the match.
We're straying into dangerous cliche country, but you know, how you win titles.
Yes, I know. York City winning 1-0 against Burton Albion. Oxford United 1-0 up on Cheltenham, who've got a big FA Cup tie coming up next weekend, or on the Monday night to be precise, against Everton. And Scunthorpe 1-0 up on Oldham. That will be one of the many 5 live commentary matches you'll be able to listen to from the FA Cup third round next weekend. Over the 3 days here on 5 Live and Sports Extra, we'll bring you at least 7 commentaries. 5 today across the 2 networks. Throw-in for Manchester United inside the Wigan half. Evra is left the ball by Giggs, who then goes sprinting off to make a run, but the ball is passed inside, thrown inside by Van Persie to Evra. Now Carrick gives it away in centre field. Michael Carrick corners onto it, but there are not too many options ahead of him. He slips on the turf here, and so Wigan have to go back into their own half, and that means the red shirts can get back behind the ball.
It's a stalemate, isn't it? It really is a stalemate just now, and we're talking right at the start about the tactics, and they have, both managers have adapted them, and they seem to have cancelled each other out.
There's a goal in our League 1 match. Peter Slater.
Yeah, Doncaster Rovers have taken the lead. 18 minutes. Billy Painter with a penalty. A clear foul in the area. Sheffield United defender was booked for his trouble. Ball straight down the middle. Painter's 7th of the season. Doncaster 1, Sheffield United 0.
That after Sheffield United's shock defeat to Hartlepool at the weekend, which I would put down as possibly the most surprising result of certainly over Christmas.
Out of nowhere, that one.
Yeah, one of the most surprising results of the season.
I don't know, Birmingham beating Celtic this week.
Yeah, good shout, yeah. Although Celtic have fallen to smaller opposition, in inverted commas, than that this season already.
I suspect they might still win the league.
Do you think so? The ball's been headed out of play by Boyce, so throwing to Manchester United halfway inside their own half. We've actually got commentary on Celtic against Motherwell on 5 Live Sports Extra tomorrow afternoon from 3, and Hearts against Hibs is here on 5 Live on Thursday night. I know that because you are going to be there.
I certainly will be there for 5 Live.
It's 0-0 here at the DW Stadium. Back down the road to the Etihad and Ian Dennis.
Where Manchester City are on the attack, but Dzeko's found Silva. Still Manchester City 0, Stoke City 0, but it's all the home side. Stoke at the minute are defending and keeping them at bay. The latest opportunity, though, for the home team was Silva, heading over from about 12 yards out from a Milner cross free kick from the right-hand side. But still Manchester City 0, Stoke City 0.
Ian, there's been a goal at Derby. Ian Brown.
And it's gone to Derby. It's Derby 1, Middlesbrough 0 after 90 minutes. Clever free kick routine. Ben Davies took it on the right-hand side, played it low into the penalty area. Michael Jacobs found some space, too much space really, and hit it low into the net from 10 yards out. So it's Derby 1, Middlesbrough 0.
Wigan attack breaks down. Manchester United on the move. Here is Hernandez, who scored the winner against Newcastle on Boxing Day. Oh, his pass goes behind both Cleverley and Giggs. So Wigan are now on the counter-attack, but Boyce is challenged by Carrick. And Manchester United have got it back. Might have made more of that, Wigan. Giggs now looks up and spreads a left-footed pass right out towards the right-hand side to the feet of Ashley Young, who is up against Bosashua. Tries to go around the outside into the penalty area. The two of them together.
Referee thought about that. You know, the hand went to the mouth.
Put his whistle to his mouth, but didn't blow it.
I think he probably just about got it right. I don't think he'd done enough there going back beyond the defender there. But, you know, there was a shout for it. I'm sure Sir Alec will have thought.
Do you think? Here's DeSanto now for MacArthur to run onto and play it forward. That's asking a lot of Kone, and Evan gets there first. Johnny Evans inside puts it out of play for a Wigan throw.
One of the most positive things we've seen from Wigan is I've seen a little bit more of McCarthy going forward now. You know, when he breaks forward, I think he's a very, very dangerous player, very strong player as well. And once or twice in the last 5 minutes we've seen him, you know, the shackles coming off a little bit, and if Wigan are going to get anything, I think he needs to do that now and again.
Millwall, who've lost their last 2 games, are 1-0 up on Bristol City. Danny and Gesson. And in the 2 o'clock kickoff, Swindon 1, Portsmouth 0 now in League One. Here's Bosashur on the left-hand side. Young with the challenge. Plays it off Bosashur and out for a goal kick to the visitors. And also Scunthorpe, struggling Scunthorpe, now 2-0 up on Oldham. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, and we're desperately trying to tell you something here that's going to excite you about this game, but it really has been quite dull in patches, and we have to be absolutely honest about it. And it's just who's going to take the chance. We were looking at the programme before the game, weren't we? And the last 2 words of Robbie Martinez is pre-match notes, and it was Sin Miedo.
Yes. Which your opening gambit was, is that Happy New Year in Catalan?
It was a question.
Which wasn't a bad shout, I felt. But with the help of our colleague Will Terry in front of us, we discovered that it means fearless.
And the reason why I ask is this a fearless performance so far? Maybe not quite.
Ball forward from Manchester United, but Figueroa is there with his head to nod it down, and then it comes back to the left-sided central defender, Figueroa, who clears it away, and then Wigan deal with it well and play it all the way back towards Caldwell inside his penalty area. So with the score 0-0 here, let's see what's happening elsewhere. And it's Jonathan Overend, first of all, at White Hart Lane.
And it's 1-1, Spurs and Reading. Reading scored first through Pogrebniak, but they haven't had another chance since. It's been all Spurs, with Sandro and Dembele dominant in midfield. Dembele a shot wide, Defoe over the bar, Sigurdsson deflected shot over. Maybe a matter of time, you feel, before Spurs get a second. Spurs 1, Reading 1.
United with it on the right-hand side. Hernandez into the penalty area for Young, but Figueroa does well, gets in front of the Manchester United man and allows the ball to run all the way back towards Al-Habsi. So Swansea Aston Villa again, and Andy Gillis.
Swansea 1, Villa 0, 24 minutes gone. Rutledge's early goal, but Villa are just starting to get into the game a little bit. They were awful in the opening 10 minutes when Swansea could have been 3-0 up. Benteke's had a shot since, and they're just settling down. Swansea 1, Villa 0.
And John Southall's got an update from Upton Park.
Whereas West Ham 1, Norwich 0. Norwich, though, just stirring into life. Had a good claim for a penalty. Winston Reid appeared to handball it. Was it ball to hand, hand to ball? Also, they've struck the post through Robert Snodgrass with a 20-yard free kick. And just a moment ago, Jack Collison, 7 yards out. Brilliant save by Mark Bunn in the Norwich goal. West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
Play in the central third of the field here at the DW Stadium.
I think they're just shading it here, Wigan. And certainly in the controlled passing that they've got in that midfield area. There is, as I mentioned before, McCarthy become more involved in the game, and he looks the most accomplished player out there at the moment.
So Alex Ferguson has gone back to sit on the bench. 71 yesterday, birthday for the great man, and
he's wearing well.
Wigan with it at the back. Forward it goes from Ramis up towards Kone, but bounces off him some distance to Van Persie, but neither side can keep possession for any length of time, so Wigan have it back. Now here is Boyce, infield towards Kone, who's found a little bit of space, gives it square to Maloney, 30 yards out. Maloney now, Bosishaw slipped with the pass slightly behind him, and Raphael was in there like as quick as can be. Young turns into the central area, gives it to Giggs. Giggs now with no one anywhere near him, just rolls the pass forward for Evra to run onto it. Evra now, square from him towards Giggs. Back to Upton Park and John Southall.
Well, it's now West Ham 2, Norwich 0. Noble down the left-hand side, pulled it back for Joey O'Brien, 8 yards out, very calmly slotted it in. His second of the season. Norwich, though, I think, wanted the game played for an injury. Player Tete was down. They wanted the referee to pull it up. He didn't, and West Ham took advantage. West Ham 2, Norwich 0.
Manchester United with a cross from the right from Young, but far too close to Al-Habsi, who was able to take it into his body. Leicester 2, Huddersfield 0 now. And Chris Wood with his second of the game. Ball out of play for a throw-in to Wigan. Roberto Martinez just holding the ball and giving one or two instructions.
Actually had a lovely touch there, Robbie. It came to him and he flicked it up there with a little bit of backspin. And it tells you something about the game that you're talking about, the touch by the manager there. Mm-hmm. I mean, interesting to look at the moment. I think there's a real growing in confidence at the moment from Wigan. And it means that there's a little bit of a pace about their game that you're not quite seeing from Manchester United. We watched, obviously, Fulham play before the game there, and Berbatov used to be the one that complained about would slow the play down.
Giggs, deflected ball to the edge of the area. Van Persie was there, might have used an arm. That's what the home supporters think. They might have had a case. It bounced down and is cleared away by Wigan. Van Persie actually charges it down and behind for a goal kick. So Wigan 0, Manchester United 0 remains the score here on 5 Live. Andy Gillis has got the latest from the Liberty Stadium.
Still 1-0 to Swansea, but it should have been 2 moments ago. Michu's hit the post for the second time in the match. Lovely move. Great effort from Michu. Came off the post, and then Graham's follow-up flashed past the other post. Swansea 1, Villa 0.
Swansea Arsenal will be one of our commentaries on 5 Live in the FA Cup this weekend. Manchester United are going to West Ham on Saturday tea time. That's a 5:15 kick-off. Again, you'll hear that here. Swindon are now 2-0 up on Portsmouth. A couple of goals in a short space of time from Paolo Di Canio's side in the 2 o'clock kick-off. So Swindon 2, Portsmouth 0. Manchester United with Giggs on the left, lifts it over the area to Cleverley inside the box, who tried to bring it down. Caldwell got a little touch. Cleverley gives it back to Giggs. Giggs ball across towards the back post, and Figueroa just touched it behind, with Hernandez arriving at pace. And that touch from Figueroa was absolutely crucial.
It absolutely was, and there's no doubt Hernandez would have put that in the back post. It's exactly where he wants the ball. It's classic Manchester United. The ball in by Ryan Giggs was fantastic.
Vintage Giggs, wasn't it?
Absolutely brilliant.
Corner then from the right, first corner of the game. It's gone to the Premier League leaders. Here it comes, delivery into the 6-yard box is headed away, comes out to Raphael, who got a touch, gave it back to Giggs. Giggs 30 yards out, was caught in possession by Kone, and Wigan are off on a counter-attack here. Kone, De Santos made a run. Kone drifts past Giggs, still going down the right flank. Johnny Evans arriving. Johnny Evans just gets the right side of Kone, and then Evans goes down under pressure from Kone, and it's a free kick to Manchester United.
And I think we've just seen the strength and the weakness of Kone in one movement there. Absolutely brilliant. Winning the ball off Giggs, runs 50 yards, pass it. No, he didn't pass it at the right time.
Straight to Peterborough and Simon Mann.
They're 1-0 up against Barnsley. It came in the 27th minute. Free kick on the edge of the penalty area, left-hand side. It was touched to defender Michael Bostwick, who thumped it in low. Peterborough 1, Barnsley 0.
Manchester United coming forward. 0-0 here under mainly grey skies. I'm saying that, there are quite a big patch of blue sky appeared above our heads. It makes a nice change from all the rain. Young is fouled, is caught by Bosishaw, and it's a free kick to Manchester United on the right. Just a little heavy, really, with the way that he went in on it.
Again, if you look at the two best moments,
isn't it, actually?
Yeah, the two best moments for Manchester United so far have been balls that have been flashed across that 6-yard line, and it has been those wide areas. We talked about it right at the start. They've got 2 wide players there, and all he wants to do is make sure that the ball's put in that dangerous area, because eventually you think Hernandez or Van Persie will get one of them.
The League 2 leaders this morning, Port Vale, are 1-0 down at home to Fleetwood. Gillingham won earlier to go back to the top. United with this free kick. Here's the delivery in towards the near post. Al-Habsi got a touch. It's rattling round inside the box. Giggs was after it, and the defender appeared, Caldwell it was, to poke it behind, and is praised roundly by his teammates for that interception.
I'll tell you what, he'll be thanked by Al-Habsi as well, because he's gone down there. The balls went straight to him. I think he was expecting a little clip. He should have caught it. He didn't. He got away with it so far.
So United corner, here it is, the near post. It's headed down and behind for another corner. It went into the near post, and Ramis reached it first to head it down. So a second consecutive corner for Manchester United. Lots of movement inside the box. Here it is, the delivery. It's headed away, glanced away at the near post, out towards this side of the field. Cleverly is onto it. Cleverly to Giggs inside the area, flicked it past De Santo, and clearly was blocked. I don't think De Santo knew too much about it, and the ball ran through for a goal kick. What do you think?
I think he knew less than that. He knew nothing about it whatsoever. It was a lovely little trick there by Ryan Giggs, but he's ran straight into De Santo, who didn't know where the ball was, didn't know where the player was, probably didn't know what day it was, but then he didn't really foul him because he didn't know it was there. But Ryan Giggs looks really lively just now. He's had a good 5 or 10 minutes ever since I said he's done nothing.
0-0, 5 live. Rochdale winning 1-0 against Rotherham. Swindon now 3-0 up on Portsmouth. So you would think that that was the end of that. Portsmouth really struggling at the moment with all of the various problems that they've got in the relegation zone. 0-0 here in the Barclays Premier League. We'll be around all of our featured matches in a moment or two. Still 0-0 between Manchester City and Stoke. Swansea winning 1-0 against Aston Villa. 1-1 at White Hart Lane between Spurs and Reading. And as we heard, West Ham 2-0 up on Norwich. Al-Habsi had the ball played back to him by Ramis and just chipped the ball out of play down here.
I don't think his defender gave him a hell of a lot of help there. He's played it back to him, and I think Robin van Persie, if he'd have, gone for it right up front, he could have actually charged it down.
Cleverly is fouled in centre field, so it's a Manchester United free kick. Just remains on his knees for a moment or two. Remember, Tom Cleverly had that really effective spell on loan here from Manchester United. In some ways, that was partly the making of him, wasn't it? Here's Evra to Giggs. Giggs, this is all on the left flank, to Evra, the Manchester United captain in the black gloves. Plays it back to Carrick in the yellow boots. To Raphael now on the right-hand side, carrying the ball forward. Might have a go. Does have a go. Al-Habsi goes down, just shovels it out into the penalty area. Straight, fortunately for him, to the feet of Figueroa.
It didn't look particularly impressive there by Al-Habsi because, from this angle, it looks as if he should have probably caught it, but I think that ball moved a lot in the air there.
Wigan with Kone forward of the centre circle, passed through to De Santo, who's stretching, didn't reach it, and it's through to De Gea. Let's get the latest from Manchester City, from Ian Dennis.
Well, it's still Manchester City 0, Stoke City 0, but Manchester City are getting closer and closer. And in the corresponding fixture back in September, I was at the game. I remember Begovic made 3 important saves. He's already made 2. First, a flying save from Aguero, who rolled away from Shawcross and unleashed a right-footed shot. Begovic diving away to his right, and then just minutes ago, once again Aguero, downward header, very good save with the feet though from Begovic at his near post. Still 0-0.
Raphael has won another corner for Manchester United. A cross into the area, really, that just flicked off the back of MacArthur and behind. So Van Persie's quickly across there again to take the corner.
They've had a good 10 minutes, Manchester United, haven't they? They really have turned it on a little bit now and are controlling the game at the moment.
They're stepping it up, United. Van Persie gets the ball back. Van Persie's cross towards the back post, headed down cleverly with a shot, hits the defender and bounces out of the penalty area. Evans, who got one of the touches inside the penalty area, plays it back to Ferdinand on the halfway line. Now here is Raphael, who has space in front of him. He's also got Young, gives it to Young on the right wing, takes on Beausejour to the byline, crosses to the near post. Figueroa is there to head away, out to Raphael, who nodded it to Carrick. Yes, they're in their stride now, Manchester United. Raphael to Young. Young's cross comes off the defender, Beausejour, and loops high and behind. The little ball boy can't stop it from drifting over the advertising hoardings for another corner.
They just cannot get out now. Wigan, the last 5 or 10 minutes, when the ball's going up to Kone, when it's going up to De Santo, it's not sticking there at all. And Manchester United, absolute control, and Wigan are just naturally falling further and further back towards their own goal.
Wimbledon now 2-1 up at Torquay, back in front. Swindon 4, Portsmouth 0. hat-trick for James Collins. Van Persie with a corner for Manchester United to the near post. De Santo heads it away out to the edge of the area. It's nodded back into his own box by MacArthur. Not sure what he was thinking of there. Caldwell clears. Manchester United keep possession. Raphael thought he was fouled by Kone. Now Evans with a cross. Evra misses his kick, comes back to it, shoots, comes out into the net. Manchester United take the lead through Hernandez. Edge of the 6-yard box, clinical, right foot, and it's Wigan 0, Manchester United 1.
It's amazing how quickly Manchester United can go through the gears when they need to. A really dull little period. It is not uncommon for them to do that near half-time. I think they worry about going in and seeing the manager after a quiet start. They've just got better and better, and Hernandez has been lively all the way through the game. And lucky that it was offside before. But you have to say, Evra, what an impact he's having in the season so far. Scoring goals, and on this occasion creating one.
Yeah, Al-Habsi with the initial save, diving to his left, but could just push it out really into a central position, right to the feet of Hernandez, who just popped it into the net. So Wigan Athletic 0, Manchester United 1 is the score here. And it's Selhurst Park. Chris Dennis.
Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 0. The goal on the half-hour mark. Andre Moritz with it. A beautifully flighted free kick from 30 yards out. His 4th of the season, right into the top right-hand corner. No less than they deserve. Palace 1, Wolves 0.
And also in the Championship at Portman Road, it's now Ipswich 0, Brighton 2. Craig McHale-Smith, Brighton's top scorer with his 11th of the season, which is something of a turn-up.
Well, it's a turn-up. Well, Ipswich have been brilliant since Mick's gone there.
So 1-0 to Manchester United, and we'll overlook the initial missed kick by Patrice Evra when it came back to him. But
he was lively enough to get back in there, and you think about where he finds that's your left full-back, and he finds himself in the corner of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, and now here is Giggs on the left-hand side. Giggs ball across. Figueroa diving back in, got underneath the header to send it up and over the top of his own bar. And Manchester United really have dominated it for the last 10 minutes and more.
And it's very difficult to see what the trigger was. You're just watching it and you're thinking, wait a minute, you're beginning to fall out of this, you're losing the midfield. And the words aren't out of your mouth, and they go 10 minutes worth of total and utter control of the game, creating chances, getting down the line, and all the players just picking the game up by 5-10%.
So Manchester United are in front. It is still Manchester City 0, Stoke 0. United's latest corner goes a long way towards the back post, hits Evra on the hand. Knew nothing about it, just bounced up and hit him on the hand, didn't move his hand at all. And that, of course, is given as a free kick for handball to the defending side. Yeah,
exactly. Would that happen the other way around? But, he's got a sniff of goals in him now, hasn't he? He's getting out of those areas. And again, I'd say that's your left back, but he's round about the corner in the 6-yard box. That's where he likes to be. And he's dangerous.
Scunthorpe now 2-1 up on Oldham. A goal back for Oldham. Here's Jonathan over end at White Hart Lane again.
Still 1-1, and Spurs completely dominating at the moment. They're weaving some wonderful passing patterns. Reading doing an awful lot of chasing. Defoe fancies a snapshot every time he picks it up just outside the box, but it remains Spurs 1, Reading 1.
Rare attack by Wigan in the context of the last quarter of an hour or so. Cross from the left-hand side, cleared away, and Maloney couldn't pick it up for Wigan on the edge of the penalty area. So it's gone all the way back to the other end of the field to Al-Habsi. So we'll bring in John Southall again from East London.
Well, it's West Ham 2, Norwich 0. West Ham in total control, should be 3-0. Carlton Cole has missed an absolute sitter. Guy Demel whipped a lovely ball across from the right-hand side. There was Carlton Cole 3 yards out, somehow put it over the bar. Incredible. West Ham 2, Norwich 0.
Ball played in by Boyce for Wigan, aiming for De Santo, just nicked away by the head of Ferdinand. Comes in from the left-hand side. The ball has already gone out, according to the assistant, flagging from Beausejour's cross before it arrived on the head of Boyce at the back post. So goal kick to Manchester United, who lead 1-0, Pat Nevin.
Yeah, it was a lovely ball in there by Emerson Boyce, and he's been talking recently about the fact that he feels he should be allowed to go forward a little bit more. He's hardly got forward in the game so far, but that was a great ball to the back post there. But, you almost take it for granted, but the positioning of Ferdinand was superb. The little nick from the top of his head, I thought he was beaten, but he just got that extra half an inch there.
Yeah, as I said early in the game, Sir Alex at the moment seeming to be going with either Ferdinand or Vidic since Vidic's return to action. In actual fact, the two of them, because of Vidic's injury, haven't started together for Manchester United since the home game against Wigan, towards the start of the season when Manchester United won 4-0.
I think you can understand it slightly, but we know Ferdinand isn't as fit, as he once was. And if Vidic hasn't got 100% fitness back either, you don't want two centre-backs that are not at 100%. Someone has to do the covering.
York City now 2-0 up on Burton Albion, and Northampton winning 1-0 against Dagenham and Redbridge. Let's head to Swansea Aston Villa again, and Andy Gillis.
It's Swansea 1, Villa 0. Just an indication of how frustrated Villa are. Andreas Weiman's just picked up a yellow card. The assistant referee adjudged the ball to go out of play. He disagreed and he kicked the ball about 50 yards away. Mark Halsey had nothing to do but give him the yellow card. Swansea giving further the run around, and they are really struggling to stay in this. Swansea 1, Villa 0.
Concerning for Villa. We'll go around our featured matches in the Championship in a moment, but Wigan in possession just outside the Manchester United box with McCarthy. McCarthy does well, gets the crossover from the right, but beyond everyone in the box, and out for a throw-in to United on the right-hand side. So to Ewood Park and Juliet Farrington.
Where it's still Blackburn 0, Nottingham Forest 0, but Rovers looking the more likely to score. A couple of chances for Rashina and Josh King, and a real good opportunity as well to break the deadlock. Danny Collins was penalised for a back pass that Lee Camp handled. Free kick awarded, but then wasted. Murphy and Kazim Richards behind that one. Forest, though, yet to test Jake Keane in the Blackburn goal. Approaching half-time, it's Rovers 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
Juliet was talking earlier, Pat, about your old mate Billy Davis perhaps being the next man into the manager's chair at Blackburn.
It's always surprising that he's been out for such a long time, because he's somebody who loves being involved in the game, and it's quite a long time he's been out of the game, and he had various successes at various clubs, generally getting teams out of the Championship.
We'll go to Birmingham Cardiff in a moment, but Manchester United coming forward on this left-hand side. Cleverly there. Cleverly just delays his pass. It's Port Vale 0, Fleetwood 2 now, and Northampton 2-0 up on Dagenham and Redbridge. Ball to the right-hand side for United, to Raphael, who gets it back from Hernandez, the goal scorer. Gives it back to him again. Hernandez currently on the right wing. Hernandez dummying to cross with his right foot. Does so with his left into the area. Might have taken a final touch off Boyce. No, it didn't. He managed to avoid it, and it's through for a goal kick. So we'll get an update on the match that is currently the 5 Live Sports Extra commentary game. Birmingham against Cardiff, and Pat Murphy.
It's 0-0 here, and Birmingham playing really well. They may be short of recognised strikers up front, but the nimble and neat Morrison, Redmond, Hall, they're giving Cardiff all sorts of grief. Epitomised when Much kicked the ball out of his own keeper's hands, much to the chagrin of David Marshall. Apart from that, Cardiff, an in-swing and free kick, punched away. It led to a bit of Sabutio football from the Birmingham defence, but that's been their only worry. Birmingham 0, Cardiff 0.
Oh, unfortunate for Wigan, a ricochet carries it to Hernandez. Oh, Van Persie in the box on his left foot, back onto his right, curls it in. Brilliant footwork from Robin Van Persie, and it is Wigan 0, Manchester United 2.
His first touch when he took control of that ball there was world class, and I don't use that phrase lightly. Absolutely brilliant. And on the right hand side there was a mistake there in the defensive area for Wigan as well. It took 2 mistakes, but also took some genius as well. Van Persie, game could be over.
And as Van Persie scored here for Manchester United, what happened at Manchester City, Ian Dennis?
Manchester City have taken the lead. They lead Stoke City by 1-0, and Zabaleta, only his second goal of the season, in fact his other goal of course was against United, has broken the deadlock. The goal has been coming. Zabaleta combining with Milner. Milner did ever so well. He waited, played in a low ball. It was blocked I think by Begovic, and it came out to Zabaleta about 8 yards out, and he steered the ball goalward. So 2 minutes before half-time, Manchester City deservedly lead Stoke by 1-0.
Also another goal at Selhurst Park, Chris Dennis.
And another goal for Crystal Palace. It's now 2-0. They lead Wolves. This time Zaha, the provider, a wriggling run through the heart of the defence, laid it off to Yannick Bolasie, who toe-poked it home. Palace 2, Wolves 0.
And another goal at Swansea, Andy Gillis.
At last, some good cheer for Villa in this festive season. Swansea 1, Villa 1. Benteke picking up the ball in the centre circle and playing the ball forward towards Andreas Weimann on his right foot, beat Michel Vaughan to his right hand side, crept in just by the post, and Villa have a goal. Swansea 1, Villa 1.
As the ball is played through Van Persie to Hernandez, who's offside, puts the ball in the net, won't count. Still 2-0 to Manchester United here against Wigan. And we'll go back to Pat Murphy, who also has news of a goal.
Cardiff have got the goal. Joe Mason tough on the keeper, Jack Butland. Splendid low save from a shot from Connolly. Got a strong left hand to it, but into the path of Mason, and that was a formality. They don't deserve to be behind Birmingham, but they are 1-0 to Cardiff.
And another goal at Derby, Ian Brown.
It's Derby leading Middlesbrough now by 2-0. A real cracker it was too from the edge of the area. Jeff Hendrick chesting the ball down, running onto it and blazing in a right-footed shot from just outside the penalty area. A cheerless afternoon for Middlesbrough. Jonathan Woodgate has gone off with an injury as well for them. It's Derby 2, Middlesbrough 0.
Also Swindon now 5-0 up on Portsmouth, who's 0-0 at half-time in that 2 o'clock kickoff in League One. 5-0 Swindon lead. And Yeovil 1-0 up on Leyton Orient. So Hernandez and Van Persie have scored the 2 goals today for Manchester United. And for Van Persie, that is now 15 in the Premier League this season and 18 in all for his club. And to update that as well, that is 7 in his last 8 appearances, Robin Van Persie. He's a man in form.
I think Mancini would agree with you. No, but the first touch, his caress when the ball was played in for him for his first touch before he got it under control, it is a brilliant finish. It's a lovely finish to watch. It looks effortless to the dummy before it, but when you get a chance to watch it at Match of the Day, that first touch was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, 10:25 tonight, Match of the Day. And we're hearing that Carl Fletcher has been sacked by Plymouth Argyle after their 2-1 defeat to struggling Bristol Rovers today. Plymouth themselves just above the relegation zone. So Carl Fletcher sacked by Plymouth Argyle. So there's a great start to the new year for him. 2-0 Manchester United lead at half-time here at Wigan. Eventually Pat Nevin taking control and then scoring the goals.
Yeah, it took them 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and just when you thought they were going too much to sleep, they just went through the gears, and it looked effortless. It was fantastic play, and I think you have to talk about Hernandez more than anyone else. He's looked incredibly sharp. We know what it was like when he first came into the Manchester United team. He looked amazing. Then he had a little bit of a dip. To me, looks back to his best.
So half-time, Wigan Athletic 0, Manchester United 2.
Thank you very much, John. Thanks, Pat. Robin Van Persie now 63 goals in his last 75 and a half Premier League games. Astonishing record. Here at the Etihad Stadium, Manchester City have broken down that very solid 2 banks of 4 defence for Stoke City, but hasn't been the most inspiring game, Ian Dennis.
No, I was half right when I thought that I said Aguero was the likely source for a goal. I was half right. It wasn't Argentine, but it was Zabaleta with that goal 3 minutes before half-time. Milner's low ball from the right-hand side, blocked, and the rebound steered in by the Manchester City right-back as they lead by 1-0. That goal coming 3 minutes before half-time. Up until then, it had been Aguero who had all of Manchester City's chances. After 9 minutes, there was one that he let fly. Just outside the area. Then, of course, midway through the first half, he rolled away from Shawcross and brought the best out of Begovic with a flying save. And my initial reaction from his downward header was that Begovic had made the save, but actually it hit the post before that goal went in from Zabaleta. Stoke, for the best part of this half, have been like a late-night reveller from their bed this morning. They've not been wishing to venture too far. They've been organised, they've been compact, but they're certainly going to have to show a lot more adventure in the second half, which will suit Manchester City, who lead Stoke by 1-0.
So to White Hart Lane, Tottenham can go third again if they beat Reading. Jonathan Overend.
Well, it's Spurs 1, Reading 1 at half-time, but I don't think anyone's quite sure how, because Spurs completely dominated. Reading's one attack was, it was a set piece, 20 yards out. Ian Hart crashed it left-footed against the bar. Pogrebniak followed up with a header. That was 1-0 Reading. But ever since, the Spurs midfield has been dominant. Dembele and Sandro using their pace and power. They've been getting forward at every opportunity. Lennon's been cutting in from the right. Sigurdsson from the left. Defoe's been looking to shoot at every opportunity, and Federici has been saving well in the Reading goal, and Reading doing a lot of puffing as they make their way around the pitch, defending resolutely, but you feel the way it's going that they're going to have to do that for another 45 to hold on here, because Spurs are going to be coming at them again. It's Spurs 1, Reading 1. The equaliser for Spurs, by the way, was a Dawson header from a Sigurdsson corner.
Big news story over Christmas today. Aston Villa have scored. They're at the Liberty Stadium to play Swansea. Andy Gillies.
Very good, Ian. 1-1 between Swansea and Villa. Swansea ahead after 9 minutes. Routledge getting in behind the Aston Villa defence, sliding the ball home. The warning signs have been there as early as the 3rd minute when exactly the same thing happened, and Guzan made a brilliant double save, first from Routledge and then from Graham. Swansea in complete control for most of the first half. Michu hit the post twice. Graham blasted wide when he should have scored. Villa were being given the runaround, but completely against the run of play. A minute before half-time, Benteke in the centre circle played the ball through to Weimann into the area, and Weimann's right-footed shot beat Vorm to his right-hand side and went into the goal. Villa are level at half-time. Swansea 1, Villa 1.
To Upton Park, where West Ham, with just one win in their last 8 matches, could be finally getting another one. They're playing Norwich. John Southall.
Yes, a very strong performance by West Ham. They lead Norwich by 2-0. Eventful 45 minutes. West Ham took the lead after just 3 minutes. Ryan Bennett was adjudged to have pulled Winston Reid in the area, and Mark Noble dispatched the penalty. Norwich far from happy with that decision. The second also had a whiff of controversy about it. Alex Tete lay injured just inside the West Ham half. Norwich wanted the play stopped. Mark Clattenburg played on, and Joey O'Brien swept in a Mark Noble cross. Either way, it was poor defending. In between the goals, Robert Snodgrass struck the post for Norwich, and they had a good claim for a penalty as well when the ball struck Winston Reid's hand. Also had time for a horrible miss by Carlton Cole from 3 yards out, and Vazte volleyed wide right on half-time. And as the two sides left the pitch, Chris Hughton, the Norwich manager, had a long and animated chat with Mark Clattenburg. West Ham 2, Norwich 0.
The other game today is at 5:30 at St Mary's. Southampton against Arsenal. Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain returning home. That's at 5:30, as I say, and we've got full commentary on that one. Tomorrow, Chelsea QPR 7:45, Liverpool Sunderland 7:45, and Newcastle against Everton 8 o'clock. There's a full Scottish League programme as well. To the Championship today, Ewood Park, Blackburn Rovers against Nottingham Forest. Both sacked their managers last week, but Forest have got a new one, Juliet Farrington.
And Blackburn are still waiting for theirs. 0-0 at half-time against Forest. Chances, though, falling to Blackburn. They've been the brighter side in the first half. They're certainly trying as well, but they just can't find that finishing touch in front of goal. But to be honest, it's not the greatest of games. Simon Cox with Forest's main threat, providing that in the first half. But Jake King, he had to wait until the 41st minute to make his first save of the afternoon. Peter Taylor, by the way, he's another name being strongly linked with a job here at Ewood Park. At half-time, it's Blackburn 0, Forest 0.
Well, it's bad in one half of Birmingham, it's bad in the other. The Blues having a terrible season, 20th. They want to get rid of all their big earning stars as well, but they can't get rid of them. They're playing Cardiff today, who are 5 points clear at the top, and Pat Murphy, they could go even further ahead.
Yes, they don't deserve to be ahead on this first half display against Birmingham City 1-0. The goal came just a couple of minutes before half-time. Tough on young Butland, the keeper. Conway's shot from 25 yards. He got down to it smartly, stopped it with his left hand, but it bobbled obligingly to Mason, who tapped it in easily. Hall has been very good up front. Redmond, a little shimmy left foot shot, palmed away by Marshall. They've been very promising, very neat and skillful going forward, Birmingham City. But they lead, but they're behind 1-0 at half-time to Cardiff.
Right, what about Blackpool against Hull City? Hull, of course, 7 unbeaten, the form team, and out of those 7 games, 5 of them has been victories. What about today? They're at Blackpool, Steve Wyeth.
Well, second place Hull, far from looking like they're going to threaten Cardiff's status at the top of the table. It's not been a half to blow away the New Year cobwebs. It's goalless, and for those in need, well, the brisk sea air will indeed be welcome. It took 29 minutes to even register a corner. A tame, deflected Tom Ince shot for Blackpool has been the only effort on target. Credit does, though, go to the home side as the half wore on. They at least showed the greater intent. They've gone 3 without a win, but they have looked the more likely so far. Blackpool 0, Hull 0.
If you're just joining us, we have already had one full commentary on 5 Live. It finished West Brom 1, Fulham 2, only Fulham's second away win of the season. To Pride Park now, Derby with no win in 3 against Middlesbrough, who are going for their 3rd win in a row. They are 3rd, but there could be an upset. Ian Brown.
Well, yes, dominance. Derby, they're 2-0 up against injury-hit Middlesbrough here. The first goal came after 19 minutes. Ben Davis with a thoughtful low free kick from the right, and Michael Jacobs was sharp enough to score low from 10 yards with Borough slacking. Then before half-time, a great strike from outside the box by Jeff Hendrick for 2-0. Davis then hit the bar with a big dipper. Borough have lost Woodgate injured. Nicky Bailey is filling in at the centre-back position from midfield, and Middlesbrough have got so many defenders out injured. Hoyt, Beaky, Friend, and now Woodgate. They're in a bit of a hole here. It's Derby 2, Middlesbrough 0.
Yeah, not much of a hole as Barnsley are in. They're playing at Peterborough, second bottom against bottom, and Barnsley, no Keith Hill, he's been sacked. They got no Tudgay up front, and the last time we heard from Simon Mann, no goals either.
Yeah, at half-time it's Peterborough 1, Barnsley 0, and Barnsley are fortunate still to be in the game. Michael Bostwick's powerful low shot gave Peterborough the lead in the 27th minute, and for the next 10 minutes Barnsley held on as much by luck as judgment. Dwight Gale has been in great scoring form, came the closest for Peterborough. He shot over the bar from the left side of the penalty area. 5 minutes before the goal, Barnes' only clear chance was a neat move down the left, and it ended with Craig Davis shooting from about 8 or 9 yards. Superb save by Bobby Olejnik for Peterborough. At half-time, Peterborough 1, Barnsley 0.
Next to Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace having a great season, but will they hold on to Wilfried Zaha? They're playing Wolves, who are 17th. Chris Dennis.
Palace 2, Wolves 0 at half-time. Normal service resumed for Palace after their pre-Christmas wobble. Thoroughly deserved 2. Andre Moritz set them on their way on the half-hour mark. A free kick 25 yards out, perfectly flighted into the top corner. The second goal, a good old-fashioned toe poke by Yannick Bolasie, set up by the irrepressible and aforementioned Wilfried Zaha, who's been quite simply outstanding. Little wonder that Arsenal and Spurs among those that would like to sign him. Wolves' only effort, a 25-yard screamer by David Davis, which rattled the bar. And as you say, Palace well worth the lead. The only question is, can they hang on to it? Palace 2, Wolves 0 at half-time.
And in League One, our featured game is Doncaster against Sheffield United. Third against second, and their neighbours as well. Peter Slater.
Yes, and Sheffield United's post-Christmas problems are continuing. That strange result against Hartlepool on Saturday, now trailing 1-0 to Doncaster. Danny Higginbottom's been brought in to bolster their defence, but it was his goalkeeper George Long who committed the foul, which threw the 18th minute penalty, from which Billy Painter scored his 7th goal of the season. Doncaster deserve the lead. United simply haven't shown enough going forward, and at half-time it's Doncaster Rovers 1, Sheffield United 0.
Thank you very much. That brings you right up to date with everything. I've got the rest of the scores from the Championship Leagues 1 and League 2 and the Blue Square Prem after we've had the latest news headlines from Faye Carruthers.
On digital radio, digital TV, mobile and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
A compromise deal to avoid billions of pounds of tax rises and spending cuts coming into force in the United States will be debated in the lower house of Congress later. The bill, which includes higher taxes for the very rich and delays spending cuts, was passed in the Senate last night. The BBC cricket commentator Christopher Martin Jenkins has died of cancer at the age of 67. CMJ was cricket correspondent for the BBC, The Times and The Telegraph, edited The Cricketer magazine and was a commentator on Test Match Special for 40 years. Police in Pakistan say 7 aid workers, 6 of them women, have been shot dead by unidentified gunmen after leaving a community centre specialising in maternal health. Those running the centre say they suspect their polio vaccination programme was the reason for the attack. Many children and teenagers are feared to be among about 60 people killed in a crush after a New Year's Eve firework display in Ivory Coast. More than 200 people were injured when spectators left a stadium in the main city, Abidjan. Finally, the search has been called off for a teenager seen jumping from a ferry into a river in Cornwall yesterday evening. 16-year-old Jordan Cobb was believed to have been with friends on the Torpoint ferry when he was seen leaping into the River Tamar at about 9:15 last night. Just one main incident to report, and that's on the M3. There's stationary traffic on the M3 southbound. That's between Junction 3 for Bagshot and Junction 4 for Camberley. There's been an accident involving 4 cars which has blocked the road completely. It's causing problems for fans heading to St Mary's for Arsenal's game against Southampton. Also now blocking the northbound side of the M3 because an air ambulance is in attendance, so avoid that area if you can. Faye Carruthers, 5 Live Travel.
Original British drama on BBC One.
The Vigilance Committee marches on us.
Thomas Gower, the lad what robbed and killed our toy seller.
How do you keep the law in a lawless town?
It's not for you to tell us where we may organise the defence of our community.
There's an army out there ready to roast you on their spit.
You have nowhere to go. This end awaits you unless you talk to us.
Ripper Street continues Sunday at 9 on BBC One and BBC One HD.
It's the first day of 2013 and here are the football scores from today. West Brom 1, Fulham 2 was a result from earlier today. These are all half-times. Wigan 0, Manchester United 2, Hernandez and Robin van Persie. Manchester City 1, Stoke 0, Zabaleta finally breaking down the Stoke defence. Tottenham 1, Reading 1, Probregniak for Reading, Dawson for Spurs. Swansea 1, Aston Villa 1, Routledge for Swansea, and then Vyman for Aston Villa. And West Ham 2, Norwich 0. Noble from the penalty spot early on, and O'Brien getting the second one. Southampton against Arsenal to come tomorrow. Chelsea QPR, Liverpool Sunderland, and Newcastle against Everton. In the Championship, Watford 3, Charlton 4 was the result from earlier today. These are the other half times in the Championship. Crystal Palace 2-0 up against Wolves, as we've heard. Ipswich 0, Brighton 2, Leeds 0, Bolton 0, Leicester 3, Huddersfield 0, Millwall 1, Bristol City 0, and Sheffield Wednesday 0, Burnley 0. In League One, it has finished at the County Ground. Swindon 5, Portsmouth 0. It was 0-0 at half-time. Half-times elsewhere in that division going so well. Brentford 0-0 with Bournemouth. Bury 0, the leaders Tranmere 0. Coventry 0, Shrewsbury 0. Crawley 1, Colchester 0. Crewe 1, Carlisle 0. Hartlepool 0, Preston 1. Notts County 0, MK Dons 2. Scunthorpe 2, Oldham 1. Walsall 0, Stevenage 0. And Yeovil 1, Leyton Orient 0. In League 2, the early results: Bristol Rovers 2, Plymouth 1. Plymouth have sacked their manager Carl Fletcher after that. And Southend 0, Gillingham 1. So Gillingham back to the top of the table, unless they can be overtaken by Port Vale again. But Port Vale are losing at home to Fleetwood by 2-0. It's 0-0 between Accrington and Chesterfield. Barnet 0, Aldershot 0. It's Morecambe 0, Bradford 0. Northampton 2, Dagenham and Redbridge 0. Oxford 1, Cheltenham 0. Rochdale 1, Rotherham 0. Torquay 1, AFC Wimbledon 2. Wickham 0, Exeter 0. York 2, Burton Albion 0. Players are coming out here, so presumably they're coming out up the road at Wigan. John Murray.
Already out, Ian, ready for the start of the second half. In fact, Wigan kick off now. Manchester United leading by 2-0. Those 2 goals in the latter part of the first half. First from Van Persie, and first from Hernandez, and then from Van Persie. And Wigan have gone from kick-off back and back and back, and they've played it back to Al-Habsi, who has only half cleared it, and they have got to work this away, Wigan, but they do, up towards Kone, and then MacArthur in the centre circle. So no changes to either side at half-time. Wigan with Al-Habsi, Ramis, Caldwell and Figueroa, Boyce and Beausejour, the wide men, McCarthy and MacArthur, and then Maloney, De Santo and Kone. And Manchester United with De Gea, Raphael, Ferdinand Evans and Evra, Carrick and Cleverley, Young, Giggs, Van Persie and Hernandez. So 2-0 Manchester United lead, and Wigan coming forward, but the pass from Beausejour finds Carrick on the edge of his own box, and Manchester United clear. Well, whoever plays the music at half-time has got a sense of humour. I'll tell you in a moment, as Beausejour tries to play it through the inside left position to Kone, but De Gea slides out to receive the ball. Pat Nevin is with me here, and as the first half drew to a close, Pat, first of all, the Wigan men played Bury About a Thing, and then played Ain't No Mountain High Enough. You get the feeling they've been in this position before.
I think they're used to playing those tunes.
Stopwatch hasn't started for the start of the second half, that's handy. And Alistair Yeomans very helpfully points out that the huge electronic scoreboard on the top of the stand opposite will help out. So Wigan 0, Manchester United 2. Got another chance as well, Pat, to see that second goal for Manchester United, which involved a couple of breaks United's way. Remember, 2 Wigan players went for the same ball, ricocheted one off the other into Hernandez's path, but then the ball across for Van Persie, who absolutely twisted Ivan Ramis one way and the other. Ramis having initially slipped, which didn't help him.
Yeah, but it was about the balance. You know, watching some of the players out here, as I speak, 2 have just slipped over. Some of them find it difficult. It's a bit slippery and top. But when it comes to Robin Van Persie, he's a tall guy, but his balance is absolutely fantastic. And if you compare him with the player who looks most like him physically, it's De Santo. He's slipping all over the place. He looks like Bambi on ice.
Yeah. As Wigan lose it, and it bounces to Carrick halfway inside his own half. Maloney actually went into Carrick just now. I thought it might have been a foul Manchester United's way, and it looks as though Maloney has perhaps come off worst in that. The little stocky figure of Maloney just limping a little as he tries to continue. United with Young, and then Young into the challenge heavily, and being fouled by De Santo.
It's pretty harsh on De Santo, I thought.
Yeah, free kick to Manchester United.
Yeah, the way that Young went, and I mean committed without a doubt, very, very committed Young, but I think most referees would have given that one the other way. So, I'm not suggesting there's dark forces at work here.
Certainly not. We wouldn't want to do that. Here's Evra pushing well up the left-hand side, but then loses possession near the edge of the Wigan box. And they play it away, but cleverly has won it back against MacArthur. And now here is Van Persie out on the left, showing that balance that Pat Nevin was talking about. Cross into the area. Evra was up there again, couldn't reach it. Very nearly landed at the feet of Fernandez. But Wigan, in the mainly blue kit with the white stripes on the front, are able to clear it partially away to the red shirts of Manchester United. Young's pass is behind Rafael da Silva, and he won't stop that from going out of play for a Wigan throw.
Interesting to see the way Evra's playing just now. I just wonder in his last contract, did he get a goals bonus put in it as well? Because he spends so much time arriving in the box at the moment.
Yeah, 4 goals this season. Certainly get an assist today for the opening goal, the shot that was saved by Al-Habsi, straight out to Hernandez, who didn't miss from 6-7 yards out. Here is the Mexican on the right hand side, Hernandez with 2 Wigan players in front of him, tries to go past a third, and MacArthur puts in the challenge, and it's played out of play by Figueroa. So if you've just joined us on this New Year's Day afternoon, when the weather seems to have taken a turn for the colder again, Manchester United, the Barclays Premier League leaders, are 2-0 up at Wigan. Manchester City are currently 1-0 up on Stoke, and we'll go around all of our featured matches up and down the country in a moment or two. But first of all, to Ewood Park and Juliet Ferrington,
where Blackburn, after their win over Barnsley, John, are leading Nottingham Forest by a goal to nil, and it's Ruben Rashina getting his reward after all his effort in the first half. A delightful strike from inside the area, low past Lee Camp in the Forest goal. Rovers 1, Nottingham Forest 0.
Ball given away by Ramesh to Van Persie. Hernandez now in the box, shoots wildly wide of the near post from the right side of the box.
You know, and Roberto Martinez, what he wants to do is his players and his centre-backs in particular to play the ball out from defence. But if you make mistakes like that, there's nobody near Ramis at all there. He just gets it caught under his feet, it pops out. It was just the possibility of the pass through to Hernandez and made sure that United didn't get another shot on goal there. But you've got to do better than that if you're going to be a passing side.
Barnet 0, Aldershot 1 in the match between two of the sides just above the relegation zone in League 2. Straight to White Hart Lane, Jonathan Overend.
2-1 Spurs, and Emmanuel Adebayor climbing high, using all the power in those neck muscles to head firmly a floated cross from Aaron Lennon past Federici. He really got so much drive on the header, but there was no pace on the cross at all. It was well worked by Spurs, and you've got to say it was coming. Spurs 2, Reading 1.
Reading having been ahead in that game, but Spurs now in front. Still Swansea 1, Aston Villa 1. And West Ham 2, Norwich 0 in the other Premier League games currently underway. Earlier, Fulham won 2-1 at the Hawthorns against West Brom, which was very much needed for Martin Yol's side. Here, Wigan Athletic 0, Manchester United 2. And the story of the game, a cagey first 20-25 minutes or so, but then Manchester United, Pat Nevin, suddenly stepped it up and scored their goals in that period of the game.
And just before they scored the goals, 2 or 3 opportunities they created, particularly from the wide areas, and you just felt it was when they decided to change the gears, and they did so. But just looking through that United team, I mean, there's not that many players that you see are playing wonderfully well. They're not having to, they're having to do just about enough. One guy I'm looking a little bit just now, when you hear and read about Rio Ferdinand just now, it's often negative, it's often his injuries, it's often, you know, he's lost his pace, it's all these things. He's been perfect today. He has read the play so well, and yeah, he probably is half a yard or a yard slow. Lots of quick players, when they lose that half a yard, look terrible. He doesn't, because he plays intelligently.
They look to have a real hunger about them, the way that they're playing, hunger for more goals in this game as well. They brought up their 50th of the season with the goal that Van Persie scored against West Brom on Saturday, 50 in the Premier League, that is. Already another couple today. Carrick crossing from the right-hand side, but that's behind everyone. However, it's so far behind everyone, it lands for Evra to bring it forward and give it to Cleverley. Cleverley 25 yards out. Cleverley just glides it to the left-hand side and gives it to Van Persie, who's out there, plays the ball in, only half cleared by Ramis, but he was fortunate in that it fell straight to the feet of McCarthy, his teammate on the edge of the box. Leicester are now 4-0 up on Huddersfield. Anthony Knockart with the fourth goal. Young bringing the ball forward towards the edge of the area, shoots straight into the back of Figueroa, and then Cleverley back to Carrick, and back it goes into the centre circle. And Manchester United dominating possession. Here's Raphael now.
They've got a way of doing it, haven't they, John? You know, when they just calm it down, they play it around, sometimes around the back, around the midfield, but they do it in such an assured way that the opposition, more often than not, just filter back. That's exactly what United want to happen right now.
Now here is Evra. He leaves it for Cleverley, who goes back towards the halfway line. So 2-0 Manchester United lead on BBC 5 Live, but there's a misplaced pass from centre field between Young and Raphael, and it's out of play for a Wigan throw. So let's get an update from Ian Dennis at Manchester City Stoke.
Well, the pattern of play in the second half is exactly as it was in the first half. Manchester City totally dominating. They lead by a goal to nil. Zabaleta's goal just before half-time. But Dzeko, a few minutes ago, had a dipping volley just over the crossbar from Yaya Touré's forward ball. Manchester City 1, Stoke 0.
Van Persie has just been caught here by Figueroa with a challenge from behind. Just stayed down for a moment or two, feeling his lower left leg, but he's back on his feet, which will be a huge relief to everyone connected with Manchester United.
A slight twist of his ankle, but I think it was only slight. I think he'll be absolutely fine. I think Sir Alec would love another goal now, and he could make some changes.
Here's Giggs now trying to find a way into the penalty area, but Ramis came across to block it. Leicester now 5-0 up against Huddersfield, and Knockart has scored again. 2 goals in a very short space of time from him. 2-0 Manchester United lead here in the Premier League. Back heel from Giggs to Van Persie. Now Cleverley is under the ball inside the penalty area. Caldwell comes out. Back it goes to the left-hand side. Giggs cross, only half cleared. And then Beausejour steps in. Oh, Wigan just give it away there. That was really careless, giving it away to Young. Now Giggs, 25 yards out, crosses into the box. Figueroa is there to head it away. And Wigan should clear this time. Although they're still passing it away from the back, but that's what they do. They won't be changing their principles, still passing it forward. But again, Dos Santos slips over.
And again, it's quite common to happen if you go slightly in front of the ball. Now, the modern pitches are like that. They're almost like skating rinks. If it's behind you at all, you ain't going to be able to turn around and change. But oddly enough, one or two players are slightly better than others. Dos Santos at the moment, it looks like it's the studs. It's not, it's the pitch.
Darkness beginning to gather. Wigan 0, Manchester United 2. A little later on 5 Live, you'll hear commentary from 5:30 on Southampton against Arsenal. But United with it. And Hernandez tries a shot from out on the left-hand side, but he was off balance and the ball just flew away over the top of Al-Habsi's goal into the stand to our right, which is relatively well populated. I endured a first today, which was ticket touts outside the DW Stadium. Outside the main entrance, but the ground isn't full.
Well. Yeah, I got about that as well.
I can't remember ever that being the case.
I think
before.
It was United fans, their part is full.
Yes, they're absolutely full. It is. It clearly was for that stand to our left. United with it. We'll continue our little move around the grounds in a moment, but United in possession with Evans near the halfway line. Northampton now 3-0 up on Dagenham and Redbridge, and Alistair Yeomans to my left makes the point that David De Gea is virtually a spectator.
He must be getting cold by now.
He hasn't made a save in the game, we don't think. Here's Giggs now, playing the ball through the inside left position to Hernandez inside the box. Ramis is with him, works it back towards Cleverley, and now to Giggs. The way the game is at the moment, it's almost as if the third goal for Manchester United, just a matter of time. There has been another goal at Manchester City. Ian Dennis.
Manchester City 2, Stoke City 0. Aguero, who has been extremely alert and sharp, slipped away from his marker and he prodded the ball, which Begovic could only parry. And there on the rebound was Dzeko inside the 6-yard area to increase Manchester City's lead. Manchester City 2, Stoke City 0.
Another goal for Dzeko today then, after his 2 at Norwich the other day, or 3 was the way that he insisted it, wasn't it? Although I don't think you'll get that one. As Dos Santos just caught by Carrick, cheers from the Wigan supporters, And that sums it up for them. They've had so little to cheer about. They've cheered for a foul on the halfway line.
I think, looking at the game, I was trying to look for positives early on for them, and when McCarthy would maybe break forward now and again, but they just haven't got forward. Certainly since the first goal went in, they just haven't got forward at all. And you're looking at Martinez down there thinking, well, make a change, but how many changes can he actually make that's going to make them any stronger at all? I watched Wigan play not dissimilar to this at Liverpool earlier in the season, and they hardly made a chance.
Maloney now for Wigan to DeSanto, back it comes to him, then McCarthy out to the right hand side from McCarthy, and then back to Ramis out on the right. Ramis is low ball into the edge of the area. Kone just touches it off. McCarthy might have had a go. Rebounds to DeSanto, plays it across, and Kone's there at the back post. But the offside flag is up, and Wigan have not scored. Ball in the net, goal ruled out.
Well, that certainly would have made a little bit more interesting game. Manchester United, for the first time, going a little bit to sleep defensively there. I think they got a bit lucky. Just now you see the replay again, yeah, and you know what, he's got it right. By only by quarter of a yard, but he's right. Going to go on just slightly early.
And all hail the assistant on the far side. That's two very good calls from him, one in each half to rule out goals.
Well, there was an awful one earlier on in the day in the game that we were watching coming through before. A terrible call when a goal shouldn't have stood.
Ball over the top for Wigan, who strangely the supporters seem to have been buoyed by the fact that it's maybe just the fact that they've actually had an attack. And this latest attack has fizzled out because Johnny Evans has been fouled, and it's a free kick to Manchester United in the right back area. But I always think, people are very, very quick to criticise assistants when they get a decision slightly wrong. Like, remember the goal that Manchester United had ruled out in the Manchester derby. And, the response I always think is, well, give it a go yourself and see.
It's incredibly hard. It's unbelievably hard. And in that occasion, once you see it in slow motion, it looks perfectly obvious. You know what? It doesn't happen in slow motion. We don't get that opportunity there. To say that one was given right, but it was not dissimilar. I'm trying to think who it was today.
In the Fulham West Brom game.
I
have to say I didn't see that one. I played an Arsene Wenger on you. Wigan 0, Manchester United 2. Hernandez and Van Persie. Here's Young on the right for United. Young swings it across. Hernandez is in there, and just over the top with his right foot as Al-Habsi came out, got the contact, but the ball agonisingly drifted over the top of the bar and behind for a goal kick. We're heading to Selhurst Park. There's been another goal there. Chris Dennis.
Another goal for Palace and another goal for Andre Moritz. A carbon copy of the first, a free kick. This one 20 yards out, same result, top right hand corner, an absolute perler. Crystal Palace well in charge. They lead Wolves by 3-0.
Manchester United coming through the middle again. Van Persie's pass hit the back of the defender. Giggs is after it, and then in steps Ramis. And Ramis carries the ball forward, this tall Spanish central defender, and gives it to DeSanto, who's passed through the middle for Kone, who was in an offside position anyway, but the pass was overhit.
And he was. It's a little bit of a shame that DeSanto didn't spot that Maloney had made a brilliant run. He tried to play to Kone in the inside right side position. Maloney had made a run in the inside left position and was through and was not offside and would have been 1-1 with keeper, but didn't quite seal.
The League One leaders, one of your former clubs, Pat Tranmere, are 1-0 up at Bury 0, Tranmere 1, and as this latest Manchester United attack comes to nothing, we'll head to Swansea Aston Villa for an update from Andy Gillis.
Just past the hour, still 1-1, but Swansea very close to penalty a moment or two ago. Bennett handled the ball. He was almost on the line of the penalty area. Mark Halsey, after some thought and consultation, gave a free kick right on the edge. Swansea 1, Villa 1.
To Upton Park in a moment, but Wigan showing a little more just at present. DeSanto to the right-hand side to Boyce. Still DeSanto in possession with the outside of his boot, plays it towards McCarthy. His pass is behind Beausejour, and so Manchester United are away after it was won back by Young. It's Raphael over the halfway line, now to Hernandez. Hernandez back to Raphael. He dances round Caldwell and was caught by the Wigan captain. It's a free kick in a central area and a first yellow card of the afternoon here at the DW for Gary Caldwell.
I think Gary Caldwell will feel that's a decent yellow card to get away because they were under big trouble there, and he certainly left his leg in. So it's a booking that was deserved. But the positioning of the ball when it's put down here for the free kick, it couldn't be better for Robin Van Persie.
Yeah, it could. It's right of centre. Van Persie is already there. We'll go to West Ham as soon as this free kick has been taken by Manchester United. And Young is there as well. And Ramis and Kone, I think, were disputing where it was being lined up by Manchester United.
I have to say, I think Man United have taken a couple of yards there, and I think they've moved it a couple of yards near the goal, so it's, as we say, perfect positioning.
James MacArthur, the Wigan midfielder, is standing in front of the ball, I presume to help the Wall and Al-Habsi line this up, and then he walks away to take his position in front of 3-4-5 man Wigan Wall. MacArthur just to the left of it. So it's a free kick for Manchester United, just right of centre, 25 yards out, tapped by Van Persie, De Jong played by Van Persie, Hernandez shoots and scores, and it is 3-0 to Manchester United. Fortunate for him, fell into his path. One touch again from Hernandez into the Wigan net. Wigan 0, Manchester United 3.
He's like a cobra, isn't he? The ball comes near, just in his vague vicinity, and he always gets his body in a position to get it with power and on the target. Never takes more than a touch if he has to, and that's brilliant. Taking on the volley into the ground, keeper's not going to get anywhere near that. As I said earlier on, watching him early in his career, I thought he was fantastic at Manchester United. Watching him today, he's back to his best. Hernandez, fantastic.
Well, if you remember Hernandez, season before last, in his first season, 20 goals he scored, and then there was that strange incident, wasn't there, on the pre-season tour in America when he had a concussion problem. Do you remember, Pat?
Yeah.
And it seemed to, I don't know whether it was that or other factors, the fact that it was his second season at Manchester United, and he did end up with 12 goals last season, but didn't seem the same player. But
he didn't. He looked slightly more sluggish, and that is the last word in the English dictionary you would use for that man just now. He is so sharp at every part of his game. I mean, lightning everywhere around the ground, but as soon as you get into that 18-yard line, he's absolutely, he's Dennis Law-like.
Ball into the Manchester United box, but Everest shields it from Kone and will bring it away for United. Notts County have got to go back against MK Dons. MK Dons 2-1 up at Meadow Lane. It's Leicester 5, Huddersfield 1 now. Scott Arfield with a goal for Huddersfield. And Yeovil now 2 in front on Leyton Orient. This is BBC 5 Live. Wigan 0, Manchester United 3. And as promised, John Southall can update us from West Ham. Big promises coming to nothing. Here's Wigan with Kone through the middle. Kone does well to beat cleverly. Kone's on his right foot. Manchester United players around him. He knew he was going to lose it, then threw himself to the ground. And then Evans slips as he clears it.
Precisely so, he did throw himself to the ground, and well done referee not being conned by that for a millisecond. I'm looking at Hernandez, he is dying to score a goal in the next 5 minutes because he knows that there is a possibility that Sir Alec might take him off, and he wants his hat-trick.
Yeah, Welbeck may have a little run out for Hernandez, but he's on 2 goals, Hernandez. 2 goals and 12 for this season now, which, as I say, matches his total for the whole of the last campaign for Manchester United. Here now is Van Persie on the left-hand side. Ever runs outside him, comes infield though. Now cleverly on his right foot, strokes it back towards Carrick on the halfway line. Sir Alex and René Mullenstein and Mike Phelan all in discussion, quite possibly over who will be the first United player to come off. Young through now into the penalty area. Hernandez, but offside. So he won't get his hat-trick there. Free kick. Right, we can now go to West Ham, to John Southall. John.
Well, it's West Ham 2, Norwich 0, but Ricardo Vazte could have made it 3 just a moment ago, hit the post 7 yards out. Norwich have also had a claim for a penalty. Their bench was off the bench just after half-time when Harry Kane thought he was brought down by James Tompkins. Would have been harsh. So another one for Chris Hughton's ever-growing list of grievances from this game. West Ham 2, Norwich 0.
And straight to the Doncaster-Sheffield United game. The second goal of the match, Peter Slater.
Second goal for Doncaster Rovers. They thoroughly deserve it. They've been on top. Cottrell's free kick. David Sayers just the faintest of touches with his head into the corner of the net. 18 minutes played second half. They scored after 18 minutes of the first half. It's Doncaster 2, Sheffield United 0.
In the Championship, Bristol City have equalised at Millwall. John Stead. So it's Millwall 1, Bristol City 1, and Accrington Stanley are 1-0 up on Chesterfield. Manchester United 3-0 up here at Wigan. Van Persie turning, having already scored 1 goal in this game. He's gone round Caldwell to the edge of the area, shoots, narrowly over the top of the bar.
They were doing an absolutely fabulous goal, possibly even better than the goal scored in the first half. He really looks up for it. I don't know how much longer he'll be on the pitch, because I think we're going to see Shinji Kagawa coming on, which I am delighted about. because A, he's a very good player, good to see him back after the difficulties he's had, but also 30% of the journalists that are at this game have come to see that man more than anyone else.
Well, he made his return on Saturday, didn't he, against West Brom, after over 2 months out with a knee injury. But there were some great signs, weren't there, from him early season, from Kagawa. Here now come Wigan through the middle with Kone, who will be off to the Africa Cup of Nations after this game, but passes it through beyond Maloney and Beausejour, and it's through for a goal kick. It's going to be a double change for United. Smalling is also going to come onto the field.
Possibly also a double change for Wigan.
Jody Gomez will be one of the players coming on. So we're going to have a little substitution interlude here at the DW Stadium. And the first man to make way is Michael Carrick. So while these changes take place, we'll try and whip round a few of our other games. And first of all, the 5 Live Sports Extra commentary game, which has been watched by Pat Murphy.
It's still Birmingham 0, Cardiff City 1. Cardiff coming into the game a little bit more now. Davis cleared off the line to deny Conway, but Birmingham still playing good football. Birmingham 0, Cardiff 1.
So Carrick makes way, Kagawa comes on, Rio Ferdinand will be replaced by Chris Smalling. And here's Steve Wyeth at Blackpool Hull City,
where it's still 0-0, but much better in the second half, particularly from the visitors. Jay Simpson's header straight at goalkeeper Gilks. Brady's free kick likewise, but the closest they've come to scoring, Myler's effort from the edge of the penalty area that had the goalkeeper sprawling and tipping it just wide. Blackpool 0, Hull 0.
Wigan are going to make their 2 changes, and Gary Caldwell is the first to make way. Point should be made as well, Pat, that 3-0 down in this game. Bournemouth come here, informed Bournemouth in the FA Cup on Saturday, but some really big games for Wigan coming up. They're playing Fulham, Sunderland, Stoke, Southampton over the course of the next few weeks.
And this isn't the one they would have expected to get anything out of, and there hasn't been a period in this game, maybe apart from the first 20 minutes, where you think they might hold on for a point, but apart from that, this isn't where we're going to get their chance to stay up in this division.
Right, Stam and Gomez have come on for Caldwell and De Santo, so a double change. Wigan Athletic 0, Manchester United 3, and Ian Dennis can tell us how Manchester City are faring against Stoke.
All very straightforward here, John. They still lead Stoke City by 2-0. Zabaleta just before half-time, and then Dzeko with a second 11 minutes into the second half, who then took off his shirt and had a t-shirt underneath that said Happy New Year, and he was promptly booked by the referee Michael Oliver as the ball is forward towards Aguero. At least though the Stoke supporters have had a shot on target. Adams' free kick curled away from goal, but it was tipped away by Hart. That came after 59 minutes, and their 10-match unbeaten run is coming to an end with a real whimper. Manchester City 2, Stoke City 0.
It's been another goal at Derby. Ian Brown.
I would venture that this is all over now. It's Derby 3, Middlesbrough 0. The precocious young talent Will Hughes setting up the opportunity. The shot from Jacobs was parried out by goalkeeper Jason Steele, and there was Connor Salmon to wrap the ball into the net from close range. Derby could be just 3 points off the playoff places. They're leading Middlesbrough by 3-0.
It's also 3-0 in the game involving Ipswich and Brighton. Brighton have scored their third through Wayne Bridge, rare goal from Wayne Bridge. Sheffield Wednesday have gone a goal down at Hillsborough to Burnley, Keith Tracy with that one, and Leeds have taken the lead against Bolton Wanderers at Elland Road. A penalty from their top scorer Luciano Becchio. That's his 18th of the season in all competitions. Also Scunthorpe 2, Oldham 2, and Coventry 0, Shrewsbury 1. 3-0 to Manchester United here on BBC 5 Live. Commentary on Southampton against Arsenal to come from 5:30, and then 6:06 with Mark Chapman and Robbie Savage once events are over at St Mary's. United with a ball forward from the back from Johnny Evans, but it goes all the way through to Ali Al-Habsi. Pat Nevin.
It just shows you the control that Manchester United have in the game. They've taken one of their sitting midfielders off and put a more attack-minded player on. That substitution was a positive one to try to get more goals. Sorry, remembering what happened at the end of last season, goal difference, all that sort of thing.
Yep, that's how Manchester United lost out to the title to Manchester City in 2012. Here's Stam now, first time into the game, into the box, on his left foot, shoots straight into Evans, and the ball bounces away into the full-back position for Evra to carry it forward. Crawley Town 2-0 up on Colchester now. And let's get an update from Jonathan Overend at White Hart Lane.
Spurs still lead by 2-1 against Reading. It's been all Spurs for over an hour, but Reading have just had only their second chance of the match, and they probably should have scored with it. Pogrebniak got inside the box, forced a save from Lloris, and then with the rebound, put his header, Pogrebniak, wide when he should have scored. Spurs 2, Reading 1.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's all right for him, Pat. He'll be off to Melbourne very shortly for the tennis to lead our coverage.
I'm not very jealous. I don't know if I'm more jealous of the fact that you'll see Andy playing or the Heat.
Yeah, it should be good. Looking forward to hearing all of that over the course of the fortnight there, here on 5 Live. Lots of coverage during the night as well on 5 Live. I am expecting, I'm sure that'll be the case, during it all night. Here's Maloney to Stam. Now back in field towards McCarthy. Forward to the left-hand side now for Beausejour, and Beausejour finds Raphael in front of him, so has to play it infield towards Maloney. Wigan just knocking it round, but at no great pace. At 3-0 down, I think Roberto Martinez and everyone else inside the stadium know that Manchester United are taking all 3 points from this game.
Yeah, they're taking it, and it's just a question of if they get any more goals. But you know, certainly there was a little moment at 2-0 where Wigan made the terrible mistake of trying to attack a couple of times. And as soon as they did that, United once again just going forward, you know, little chances. And if Wigan do try and come out now and do a push on, they haven't got the pace to stay with Hernandez. So that's the big problem they've got, the catch-22 situation.
Wigan again, Gomez out to the left here to Beausejour, who's challenged by Raphael, and the ball bounces out for a throw into Wigan. Straight to Manchester City, a penalty now, Ian Dennis.
Penalty to Manchester City, and Zonzi caught Silva, but it was just outside the penalty area. So harsh on Stoke City, but an opportunity here for Aguero to cap his performance with a goal that he richly deserves. Manchester City lead by 2-0. Aguero runs up now. Begovic dives the right way, but Aguero still finds the back of the net as Manchester City seal the 3 points with 3 goals. And Aguero is into double figures, and the champions are off to a winning start in 2013.
So Manchester City and Manchester United both comfortable in their matches here in these 3 o'clock kickoffs on Boxing Day, and it would seem that it will remain 7 points, the gap between the two, after these bank holiday games.
Yeah, and they seem pretty easy. It's not often you see Stoke losing 3 goals twice in a row.
Very true. Manchester United with it just inside their own half, and Young to Kagawa, whose left thigh is still very heavily strapped. Producer Alistair tells me that there would have been even more Japanese journalists here, but Wigan Athletics simply didn't have the room for them to watch Kagawa as he continues to make his comeback. Forward towards Van Persie. Young's outside him. Now it's laid forward into the full-back position. Young onto it, wraps his right foot round it, but Al-Habsi comes and catches the ball just outside his 6-yard box. Then gives it out quickly. Maloney. And now Beausejour. Forward it goes towards Kone. Gomez makes a run ahead of him. Kone just flips it back across into the path of Maloney. Beausejour thought about the long pass cross field towards Stam, but goes at close quarters. Now it's MacArthur through the middle to Kone, and then Evans just nips in with a challenge to win it back for Manchester United.
Just looking at the way Manchester United are breaking up the play, and it looks as if they want to go at pace. Ashley Young's been fouled again. Ashley, he's been fouled quite a few times in this game, and there are some days he just looks very slight and very slender, and you know, if any sort of touch at all, and he goes down very, very easily.
Ashley Young still yet to score for Manchester United this season, I noticed.
And by the way, he was kicked there. I'm not saying he died in any way.
Free kick for United then. Referee just having a lengthy word with Figueroa. So while he does that, we'll just nip back to Jonathan Overend at Tottenham.
Still 2-1 Spurs, John. Spurs will be absolutely furious if they don't take all 3 points from this match, but Reading have just had another glorious chance. In fact, they've had a third chance here to equalise Reading, a header which has been cleared off the line. A few moments ago, Jimmy Kebe should have scored, only for fantastic last-ditch defending from Kyle Walker, and now a header from the corner appears to have been cleared off the line, with some Reading players thinking that the ball has crossed the line. It hasn't, but Reading showing admirable resolve here as they chase an equaliser. Spurs 2, Reading 1.
I can tell you that Northampton 3, Dagenham Redbridge 1 is the latest score at Sixfields. Wigan coming forward, Gomez in the D. Gomez shoots low but drags it wide by 5 yards. And a goal kick to Manchester United. The other latest scores in the Championship, it remains Ipswich 0, Brighton 3, Leeds 1-0 up on Bolton, Leicester 5-1 up on Huddersfield, straight to Ewood Park, Juliet Ferrington.
And it's a second for Blackburn Rovers. It's been given to Jordan Rhodes, but to be honest, it looked like an own goal by Danny Collins. It would appear to be him. He stabbed the ball in an attempt to clear the ball into the back of the net. He certainly showed his frustration as well as the ball slipped past Lee Camp in the Nottingham Forest goal. But Jordan Rhodes has been given it. A second for Blackburn Rovers. 2-0 they lead Nottingham Forest.
Still Millwall 1, Bristol City 1, Peterborough 1, Barnsley 0, and Sheffield Wednesday 0, Burnley 1. United making their final change now, and it is Young who makes way for Welbeck. And at Manchester City, Ian Dennis.
Still leading by 3-0, but it could be a bittersweet afternoon because Sergio Aguero has just pulled up with what looked like a left hamstring injury. He's left the field of play, and certainly Roberto Mancini will hope that that is not a serious injury to the striker who's been terrific this afternoon. City still lead 3-0, but Aguero off with what looks like a hamstring injury.
Yes, I thought he was excellent at Carrow Road actually on Saturday as well in Manchester City's win there. Lovely goal that he scored as well, the way that he took that. So that's obviously a concern. We'll tell you about that once Ian hears from Roberto Mancini after the game, during the course of what will be a half-hour sports report today. Then commentary from St Mary's on Southampton against Arsenal. Then 6:06 with Mark Chapman and Robbie Savage here on 5 Live, or via your BBC iPlayer radio app on your new smartphone or tablet. And if you haven't got it yet, if you haven't downloaded it, it is free on the 5 Live website. You'll find out all of the details of how to get a hold of it. But effectively a new way of listening to the radio. Ball forward from Wigan into the box. Bosishaw pulls it back, but I think he carried the ball behind before he pulled it back. No, it was deflected behind, and it is indeed given as a goal kick. Straight to Tottenham again, and Jonathan Overend.
Huge relief around the home support here because Spurs have taken a 3-1 lead now against Reading. Clint Dempsey, second half substitute for Gylfi Sigurdsson. Right foot drive, deflected off Mikael Ledgerwood and in over Federici for a 3-1 lead. Before that, Reading really showing a lot of threat and a chance, not just once, but 3 times to equalise in this match. But Dempsey now surely has put this beyond the visitors. Spurs 3, Reading 1.
Millwall back in front against Bristol City. Adam Smith with that one, and Leicester now 6-1 up on Huddersfield. Martin Waghorn with the latest goal. Also Yeovil 3, Leyton Orient 0, and Rochdale 1, Rotherham 1. Equaliser for Rotherham. 3-0 to Manchester United here, but De Gea clearing with his feet from inside the area yet again.
Well, it was an awful pass back though, I have to say. Was it Johnny Evans there? Passed it back. It was a shell.
Wigan with Gomez trying to lift it over cleverly. The ball bounces away, and Manchester United.
It's been slightly harsh on Johnny Evans there. I think it was Smalling, but both centre backs have turned up with bright yellow boots.
Yeah, Smalling and
centre halves in the old days didn't used to get away with yellow boots.
That was a long time ago now, Pat.
Well, I don't know. I don't think centre halves should get away with them unless you're Rio Ferdinand, who's a classy player.
In actual fact, you know, as I sometimes say, the real fashion statement now is to wear black boots.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Here's Kagawa.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant from him to beat MacArthur and then play it forward through the middle towards Giggs, who has 2 Wigan players around him, but does really well to find Hernandez, who is still on the field and still after his hat-trick, but passes it towards Evra, who's after another goal for himself. Evra into the box, pulls it across, cleared away by Bosishaw, and that's the best we've seen from Manchester United for a little while. More from Pat Nevin on that once we've come back from Juliet Ferrington in Blackburn.
Where Blackburn have their third of the afternoon. This time Colin Kazim-Richards, real power as well as he smashed the ball into the Forest goal. Blackburn starting 2013 just as they finished 2012 with a win. 3-0 now they lead.
A moment here where Chris Smalling, I think, has perhaps had a little let-off as the ball was played forward towards Kone. Smalling got the wrong side of him, tugged Kone back, who went down. Free kick given Wigan's way, and referee Mariner has shown a yellow card to Chris Smalling.
There is either no card or red. Absolutely. In that situation, no card or red, because there was nobody between him and the goal. Absolutely not. He was going directly towards goal, and looking down into the Wigan manager, I think he agrees with me. I mean, did you see any? I'm not seeing any of the defenders who are going to get back there. Of Coney was away. It was 1-1 with the goalkeeper. I would like to hear the referee's interpretation of that one.
It would have, if it was a red card, it would have been a straight red card.
Yep.
It would have meant a 3-match suspension for Smalling.
He's very, very lucky.
3-0 Manchester United lead, but Wigan have got this free kick. Gomez is over it, right of centre with his left foot. Gomez with the free kick over the wall into the top corner, just wide. So close.
Yeah, it looks as if it had gone in there. Absolutely fantastic. A little bit of a pull on that there. I don't think De Gea was getting to it, although he got over quite smartly. Just misses the postie stand, I would say, by a couple of inches.
Straight to the Peterborough-Barnsley game, and Simon Mann.
Barnsley have equalised. They've absolutely dominated this second half, and they've got a goal, and it was scored in controversial circumstances. Marlon Harewood came on as substitute, and he shot from the edge of the penalty area. Now, there might have been a deflection inside the box. It dribbled into the net. The linesman on the far side had his flag raised, and the referee went over to have a long chat with him as Barnsley go close to getting a second goal there. The referee went over to have a long chat with him, and then he must have decided in the end the deflection came off a Peterborough defender rather than a Barnsley attacker, so the goal was given a bit like that Newcastle goal against Manchester United at Old Trafford. Marlon Harewood with it. Peterborough 1, Barnsley 1.
Another goal in Doncaster. Peter Slater.
10 minutes from time, Sheffield United have scored it from the penalty spot, which I think was just about the only way they were going to score. It was Andy Griffin fouling Joe Ironside. Nick Blackman took the spot kick. He scored. Could be just the boost Sheffield United needed. 10 minutes left. Doncaster 2, Sheffield United 1.
Wigan have won their first corner of the game, but they're 3-0 down. And before they take it, we're heading straight to Swansea because there's a penalty. Andy Gillis.
Aston Villa have a penalty. Nathan Dyer adjudged to have brought down Andreas Weimann. It looked a very soft decision given by the assistant, but Benteke with the chance to give Villa the lead, and he scores to the left-hand side of the goal, into the back of the goal. Celebrations with the Villa fans. They've had an awful Christmas, but is this new year going to start brightly? Swansea 1, Aston Villa 2.
Just fancy that.
Total and utter shocker. But, I mean, if anyone's going to be doing it for them, it's going to have to be Benteke. Weimann's been good with his goals this season as well, but boy, did Paul Lambert need that. And can they hold on?
3-0 to Manchester United here in the Premier League on BBC 5 Live. Hernandez with 2 goals, Van Persie with the other, ball into the Manchester United box. In fact, Evans leant forward and chested it down. There were shouts for handball, but with no particular conviction, and Evans cleared it out of play for a throw to Wigan.
It's been a good 10 minutes, I think, for Wigan once again, but it's purely because Manchester United have changed the system totally. They've got a lot of players on there that are attack-minded players, but you know, they kind of lost the midfield slightly, and it's noticeable since Carrick is off. It's changed greatly for Wigan.
Yeah, Wigan take the throw. Going to go to Selhurst Park in a moment, but still Wigan in possession, looking for their first goal of the day. Figueroa round the defender, shoots, deflects across the penalty area off Smalling, and Manchester United clear through Evra. So here's Chris Dennis watching Crystal Palace and Wolves.
A goal back for Wolves. It's now Palace 3, Wolves 1. Sylvan Ebanks-Blake with his 10th goal of the season. A consolation, you would think, allowed to turn inside the box, swivel on a sixpence and rifle home his 10th goal of the season. 12 minutes left. Palace 3, Wolves now 1.
Burnley are now 2-0 up at Sheffield Wednesday. A penalty from Ross Wallace. And Wigan make their final change of the game, and it is Maloney who will make way. And while young McManaman comes on to replace him, we'll hear from young Bruce Ball at St Mary's, who's got the team news ahead of Southampton against Arsenal.
Theo Walcott and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain play their first games at St Mary's Stadium as opposition players to Southampton. Both start in the same Arsenal side that put 7 past Newcastle. 3 changes for the home team. Artur Boruc returns in goal. Gaston Ramirez comes in for Jay Rodriguez. And Stephen Davis replaces the centre-back Jos Højveldt. So Jack Cork will play at right back.
Thanks, Alistair. Commentary to come on Southampton Arsenal from 5:30 here on 5 Live. Then 6:06 with Mark Chapman and Robbie Savage at the conclusion of that game. And after 5 o'clock, with Ian Payne from Manchester City, there will be a sports report of the best part of half an hour, during which, by the way, you will hear from our cricket correspondent Jonathan Agnew with his tribute to Christopher Martin-Jenkins. Wigan with the ball just outside the Manchester United box. Here is Figueroa on his right foot shoots, and it sails away into all of those Manchester United supporters in that stand behind De Gea's goal.
Then the quizzical note in your voice when you said right foot was totally understandable when you did see the shot there. Flew miles over the bar. Interesting, since Stam came on, that's made a little difference as well for Wigan. I was slightly disappointed when I turned up to watch Wigan and he's not playing. I do rate him highly as a player.
So 87 minutes on the clock. Wigan 0, Manchester United 3. 7-point lead. We're now into 2013 as Hernandez plays an angle ball to Raphael, who also plays an angle ball to the edge of the area, bounces off the defender. Welbeck pulls it across. Van Persie is there. And it's 4-0 to Manchester United. Van Persie off balance, but that didn't put him off. He found the back of the net. And Robin Van Persie has his 19th goal of the season for Manchester United. It's Wigan 0, Manchester United 4.
I have to say that's comedy defending. That's absolutely dreadful. That's the easiest goal just that Manchester United will score this season. It was made for them by the Wigan defence, and it's all very well getting the ball down and playing it out from the back. It's a good idea to defend first as well. Robbie Martinez will be absolutely furious. It doesn't make any great difference in the great scheme of things, but that was awful between the defenders.
So 4-0 now Manchester United lead, which matches the score when the sides met at Old Trafford in the other game in the league between them this season. So 4-0 at home, 4-0 away, and Manchester United have wrapped this one up. And you know, another side of what we saw from Sir Alex Ferguson on Boxing Day at Old Trafford, the on-pitch business with the officials at half-time. And also I think what was said after the Swansea game, which is the last time Manchester United failed to win. Come back to that, Pat, in a moment, because here's McManaman, who takes it away through the middle, gives it towards Kone, got the ball caught up underneath his feet. Now to Stam on the right. Stam's cross into the area, headed away by Smalling, who had more time than he thought there, but United will clear. I feel another part of the whole side of that is the fact that United did not win a major trophy last season. They are in a position where they have a 7-point lead, and I think Sir Alex Ferguson just wanted to send the point out, just ram it home that Manchester United are back to their competitive best.
That, and certainly a lot of those comments are actually aimed back towards these players as well. If at any point they were getting into holiday mode, get out of it. This is an important period. And you know what? They have.
And they've won all of their games since being held to a 1-1 draw at Swansea. Straight to Peterborough, Simon Mann.
Peterborough back in front with 3 minutes left, really tough on Barnsley, who dominated the second half. Tommy Rowe got it, quick feet there on the edge of the penalty area. He made the chance for himself and he scored with a fierce low shot into the corner. Peterborough 2, Barnsley 1.
Also Crawley 3, Colchester 0, and York City 3, Burton Albion 0. And also not too far away, it's next month now, the first leg against Real Madrid. I don't know if Real Madrid are represented in the director's box behind us. I suppose if there was someone here they'd have gone by now, wouldn't they?
I think so. Like most of the Wigan fans, it has to be said, the vast majority of Wigan fans have got out of here. I think that fourth goal killed it off for them, really.
I'm not sure Dave Whelan is here today. He's quite often in sunnier climes at this time of year, I think. The rain has now come down, so just as well, Pat, that Bobby Charlton is wearing that hat that he is, just behind us to our left.
Fetching hat, very good.
Another goal at West Ham, John Southall.
Here's the relate sting in the tail. West Ham 2, Norwich 1. Russell Martin's at it again. 2 on Saturday, another one here. Tidy volley, West Ham 2, Norwich 1.
Also Wickham 0, Exeter 1. And 4-0 Manchester United lead. 2 goals for Hernandez, 2 goals for Van Persie. Manchester City winning 3-0 against Stoke. One of the talking points of the day, the fact that Swansea 1, Aston Villa 2 is the score at the Liberty Stadium after Villa were behind in that game, as Wigan have it with Beausejour, who swings the cross from the left-hand side but past everyone and out for a throw-in. It remains Tottenham 3, Reading 1 and West Ham 2, Norwich 1 in the Premier League games. Commentary to come on Southampton against Arsenal from 5:30. But the 90 minutes are up now. We're into added time, and it's been a good day's work for Manchester United in the 2 minutes of added time.
Yeah, I think they've played well. They've done exactly what they need to do. I don't think they've overexerted themselves when they haven't had to. But just looking at the golfing class is quite clear in afternoons like this. And at no point in the game really did Wigan look as if they were going to win the game. Maybe right at the start. They kind of matched Manchester United, but that was before Manchester United started pushing on the power, and they are doing so again.
Oh, lovely from Kagawa to Van Persie, now to Welbeck. Welbeck slipped on the edge of the area, and so Figueroa was able to dispossess him with 3 United players in the box. But no matter, the final whistle goes, Manchester United convincing. 2 goals from Hernandez, 2 from the Premier League's leading scorer this season, Van Persie, and 4-0 Manchester United. Pat Nevin.
Standard routine, but routine brilliance now and again when it was needed from Manchester United. To do this to Wigan without really breaking sweat, and you haven't got Rooney to call on just now. Manchester United looking in imperious form at the moment, and they're going to take a lot of stopping between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, that's 25 points out of the last 27 available for Manchester United, who are the leaders of the Premier League. Now we're into 2013, and they go to their supporters to celebrate what has been a very good win for them. Final score here at the DW Stadium is Wigan Athletic 0, Manchester United 4.
Thank you very much indeed.